Minglaba, auspiciousness to all. This is MRTV3 Myanmar International Yangon. Here's the news read by Ki Kain Sui. UN Secretary-General Special Envoy Mr. Gambari and party met member of National Referendum Convening Commission U Thao Nyo and 3 members at Sene Kanda State Guest House Friday. They discussed matters on completed National Convention, drafting the state constitution in accord with basic principles and detailed basic principles laid down at the National Convention and process of holding the referendum in order to adopt the already drafted the state constitution. He also explained that it took a long time to draft the state constitution, and National Convention preliminary meetings were held since 1992. After inviting political parties, 3 agreements were reached to convene the National Convention to discuss basic principles which are important and fundamental and to invite 8 groups to attend the National Convention. Accordingly, totaling over 700 delegates representing 8 groups were invited. From 9th January 1993 to 1996, the National Convention was held for 6 times. During the process, it was coordinated to draft the Constitution comprising 15 chapters and 104 basic principles. The basic principles relating Chapter 1, the state, Chapter 2, head of state, and Chapter 3, formation of the state. Moreover, they could discuss the sector of formulation concerning 3 divisions of state power: legislative power, administrative power, and judiciary power. NLD took part in the discussions during the previous procedures. However, NLD called for private meetings in September 1995. Their demands were not concerned with the functions and duties of the National Convention Convening Commission and the National Convention Convening Work Committee. With the excuse of their demands were not met, the National League for Democracy walked out the National Convention on their own will. According to the procedures relating to the National Convention delegates, the delegates group would be seized if they were absent for 2 days without permission of the panel of chairmen. Therefore, they were seized from being the convention delegates. Since then, NLD never attended the National Convention. In 2003, the government announced the 7-step roadmap. The first step is to reconvene the National Convention. In July 2004, NLD was invited before reconvening the National Convention. With a request to invite more NLD delegates, more NLD delegates were invited. However, they didn't attend the National Convention. Without NLD, the National Convention was reconvened with 8 delegate groups comprising 1,086 delegates. National Racist Delegates Group comprising 600 delegates representing the entire nation attended the convention. The delegates representing national racist groups who have exchanged arms for peace with the government also took part in the discussion. Mr. Gambari was also invited while reconvening the convention, and it will be remembered friendly meetings with the delegates. The National Convention was reconvened in 2004 and completed discussion to lay down the remaining chapters and basic principles in September 2007. The tasks Mr. Gambari replied that he thanked for the detailed clarification of the background history of drafting the Constitution and salient points of NLD, as well as his participation in the last part of the National Convention. He also remembered the discussions with the representatives of 17 peace groups. He himself absolutely respects the sovereignty of Myanmar. This detailed explanation reflects how Myanmar values the United Nations cooperation. He also wanted to discuss with similar spirit. In the implementation process of 7-step roadmap, all inclusiveness is important. If people from internal and external do not trust on the implementation process, the lofty paces such as announcement for the time frame of holding the referendum and the election will be hampered. First, he would like to know the date in May on which the referendum will be held and whether will it be finished in a single day. The second question is how to describe agreement or disagreement while voting, preparations for referendum and arrangements for public awareness on the draft constitution and voting method. He visualized there should be suitable circumstance for emergence of free and fair result. Afterwards, U Thao Nhat replied that, as prescribed in Act 4A, the date of the referendum will be announced 21 days prior to the referendum. The Commission needs to take 21 days for preparations. It is estimated that there will be thousands of polling booths in the entire nation, including the places that are not easily accessible. The referendum will be held in a single day. The draft constitution has been released widely. The law of referendum is explained in detail. Further public awareness on the referendum will be made in 21 days. The facts those who are responsible to take charge the polling booths should disseminate to the public are being described in the booklets of the representative sub-commissions. As mentioned above, this constitution was drafted based on the basic principles laid down by the National Convention held from 1993 to 2007. As all these principles have been described in daily newspapers, it has been well known by the public who are interested in it. All the literates can understand, and the explanations were aired on radio and television. Later, Mr. Gambari said that next thing he would like to discuss was all-inclusiveness. He would like to know the voting rights for religious persons and some others. U Thao Nhat explained that it has been enacted that all those who have attained 18 years of age have the right to vote, and the entire vote lists to be precised. The Act on having no right to vote is a not new one. It had been enacted in 1973 referendum law. It also included in 1947 and 1974 state constitutions and the newly drafted constitution. This matter is concerned with the right of sovereignty. Mr. Gambari replied that he understood this fact, and on the other hand, it should be in line with international norms. He wanted to know that forbidding is for voting or entering election. U Thao Nhat said that entering election would not be decided by their commission. It will be decided by the responsible committee at the time of election. There are prospects of laws for the person concerned to appeal against the decision. Next, Mr. Gambari said that he heard about actions being taken against those who criticized the draft constitution. He wanted to know it is right or wrong. U Thao Nhat explained that it is wrong and no action was taken till today. Afterwards, Mr. Gambari said that he would like to discuss about inviting monitoring groups inside and out to gain international trust on the procedure. By doing so, international community will acknowledge and believe that the referendum is free and fair. Concerning with the fact, U Thao Nhat replied that the referendum for ratifying the state constitution will be held under the right of state sovereignty. Arrangements are made to ensure all those who have the right to vote can vote. There is no tradition of permitting people outside the country to monitor in internal affairs like holding a referendum. There was no evidence of people from outside the country monitoring the previous referendums of 1947 and 1974 state constitutions. Mr. Gambari said there is no doubt the Commission have arranged comprehensively for the referendum with confidence. He didn't mean to invite people from outside the country to monitor the referendum. If necessary, the UN is ready to provide technical assistance concerning with holding referendums and elections. And U Thao Nhat replied that Mr. Gambari's willingness to provide assistance will be noted, but the Commission members have enough experiences. Then, Dr. Tunshan elaborated that the representatives of political parties and respective groups who had attended national conventions held from 1993 to 1996, as well as from 2004 to 2007, were not elected by the government. They were elected and sent by their respective political parties and groups on their own volition. Since they were elected as representatives by the people throughout the country, it is an all-inclusive process. Mr. Gambari expressed thanks for the detailed discussion and the meeting ended. So much for now. We'll bring you more still this.